good evening, and welcome to the Book of Flynn. My name is Reigna Flynn, and with me tonight is the guy who had to be rescued by his own stepson after falling out of his own ship. It's Vinzer Flynn!
It's true. It's a true story.
You can see it on your YouTube for yourself.
He did very well. I fell out into hyperspace, and it was in the blackjack, no less, so he turned that thing around and he picked me up. To his credit, he did not run me over when he showed up. I was a little worried.
The same could not be said if I was the one doing the rescuing.
Or gung-ho.
Well, it helps if you aim to the left of someone rather than directly at somebody. Food for
I'm
thought.
just kidding. I would never get into a ship with gung-ho.
So tonight we're going to start with Season 2, Episode 5 of Star Wars Clone Wars, Landing at Point Rain. The quote for tonight is, "Believe in yourself or no one else will," which means that I need to make a prediction based off this quote. My prediction, which I write just after I see this quote: R2-D2 and Gloomwalker, aka Anakin Skywalker, get knocked out, leaving Jar Jar and C-3PO alone to land the Con Air, or whatever the Twilight hairdryer thing is that they fly. C-3PO is the hero and saves the day while Jar Jar is unsticking his tongue from the self-destruct button.
That's pretty believable.
Right? Like, I'd watch that episode.
I'd watch it, but I don't have to like it.
Exactly. Never said anything about liking it. Unfortunately, the only thing I'm really good at with my predictions is predicting who's not going to be in the episode. Because last episode I had a prediction about Ahsoka and we never saw her at all. So this time around. So stay tuned. We start out with clone troopers are spread thin in the war against the General Grievous and his army. I was so excited. I thought we were going to get General Grievous again. I'm a little mad. We didn't get him in this episode, so I hope he shows up soon. We have the Separatist planets. Okay, they say one line here. The Separatist planets that they once thought were secure are now rising up against the Republic. But they're Separatist planets. Wouldn't they expect them to rise up against them?
Are they separating from the Separatists? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know. I don't understand that line at all. I wrote it down and I went back and listened to it, and it's still... I can't figure out what it means.
If they had just said, the clone army is invading... we wouldn't have asked any further questions. All right. We don't, Who cares what's going on in the politics? We're
but now you're
planet.
confusing me because of Republicans and stuff. Anyways, on a planet that I can't figure out what the name of it is it Geonosis, Teonosis, Meonosis? What is it?
You were right the first time.
Geonosis. Okay,
Geonosis.
I wrote Teonosis for like 90% of it, and I wanted to write Tijuana, so if I use that interchangeably, just go with it. We have Pogo, which I just remembered that that's what I called him last time, so I'm going with it.
I was delighted to see that he showed up again so soon after the last episode.
Yeah. I have a question. So he's like, he's safe inside his shielded factories. And is this the factory that we literally saw the concept of in the last episode?
I guess so. My mind was mostly thinking forward about Attack of the Clones and how it connects, but
like the shield factory is already built. I thought that they were talking about like funding it and building it in the future, and then the shielded factory, like, is this the factory they were talking about?
I don't know.
And also, it looks like Gallifrey. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, sort of does have that red dusty look to it.
Especially when they bring the shield bubble down, when they did that in the Time War, and I was just like, ooh, I recognize this. The factories, they're making weapons of terror, and then they show the friggin' bingo droids. I was like, they're striking fear in the hearts of no one. I am sorry. And the Jedi is showing up for a massive strike to retake Geonosis. I'm going to have to edit all of my notes. We cut over to Obi-Wan, and other Jedi are lamenting about being back here again for another battle, and the loyalty of the planet to Count Dooku, who I also refer to as Count Chocula. I wrote that just in case he showed up at all in this episode. Also did not see that. When were they here last? Was that in season 1?
The very first battle of the Clone Wars was fought on Geonosis in the movie Attack of the Clones, when they were in the gladiatorial arena and all that, and the clones
Oh,
showed up and
right.
kicked ass. This is the first. Geonosis was the first site of the Clone Wars battles.
Okay, because that's why when they say they talk about something later, I'm like, that sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place it.
Yeah, the that was sort of the D-Day of the war, I guess. This other Jedi is Coyote Monday, who has 2 brains. In case you're wondering why he's got that head.
I just called him Clonehead the entire time because they didn't give his. Co-
I love that. Clone head. Anyway, yeah, he's got like 2 brains and like 6 wives or something like that. Maybe unless I'm
2 brains, 6 wives, no waiting.
I'm gonna have to double check that fact. Okay, so yeah, Coyote Monday had like 4 or 5 wives. So
So Mormon Monday, cool.
he also recently appeared live action in the Acolyte show, which apparently might have frigged with some lore or something. I didn't even look it up because I don't give a shit. It's just another thing for fans to be mad about, but you know.
Anna can't be on time and walks in. And Obi wants to point out the tardiness. It wrote itself. It was so good. So, anyways, Anakin is late and Obi-Wan points it out. And then they get into like this little snipe about competition because Ahsoka and Anakin are basically having a Lord of the Rings style play out where it's like, how many did you take out? How many did you take out?
If you didn't know it was droids, it'd be pretty terrible top topic of conversation. But how many did you kill?
Right? Which, let's get back to live head counts versus droid head counts later. I listened to this 6 times and tried to figure out where they were. What planet were they on? Like they said Dorne or I couldn't figure out where they're like, oh, we were battling Seppies on Dorne or something like that. And I
I
don't
missed that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I get separatists, but I didn't know where the rest of it was.
You like how they called them Seppies, like like O'Brien calls the Cardassians the bloody Cardies.
Yeah.
Always nicknames like that in the war, isn't it?
Yeah. And Obi-Wan and the other Jedi are talking about the importance of the battle in ending the war as a major supplier for the separatists. We cut over to their conference with the Shady Council, complete with Senator Saltine, which I forgot he was a chancellor now. Senator Palpatine, but it reminds me of saltine crackers, so I just go with it.
Oh, I get it.
Thank you. Just laying it out for the people who don't follow my brain patterns here. They lay out the location and the groundwork for the plan, and essentially they are going to go at the shield generator from 3 different aspects and hope that one of them hits the ground and then capture the pogo so that he can't continue the factory again. Oh, good. This is where I put, oh, good. Chancellor, as I found out afterwards, Palpatine, is part of the briefing and that will totally ensure its success. Clone troopers, Cody, who has the yellow visor, right?
Yep.
Cool. I'm still getting these straight. And another yet to be identified clone trooper, unless that was Rex.
Rex was with Anakin.
Okay.
Coyote Monday had some other guys with them.
Yeah, but this is when we were planning. They're basically gonna yet to be identified clone troopers, unless Ben knows who they are, continue with the details of the plan without the Shady Council. And now that the Chancellor's left, maybe they have a fighting chance. Ahsoka points out the wall of guns, and Obi-Wan and Anakin get back into a conversation about who's gonna win and like getting all competition.
Little brotherly banter going on there.
Yeah, and Ahsoka's like, so wall of guns? And Anakin's like, no, we won't be anywhere near it. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm putting some money down now. That would have been a good thing to bet on. We cut over to the battle, which kind of turns into one continuous scene. There's no real like scene breaks because they flow between all of the different parties so well. I really like the structure, the way that this was handled. Like even me, I could follow where we were.
I have some good things to say about this episode in that vein. Yes.
Yeah. The ships are taking off, and Obi-Wan and Cody are talking about the battle on Geonosis. And this is. See, I said Geonosis in this.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Yeah, it's fine. Whenever do I call anything by its proper name? Obi-Wan deadpans. He's like, oh, the last time I was here, I was chained to a pole and attacked by several humongous monsters. And that's when I was like, oh, that sounds vaguely familiar. And now that makes sense as to why. But Cody's like, that's great. Awesome.
Cody's answer should have been, "I'm not interested in your personal affairs, General."
Yeah, I don't want to know what you do in your off hours. Jeez. Don't yuck anybody else's yum, but not my thing. The pew-pewing commences, and this is when we start flipping around between all the different ships. We've got Rex with Ahsoka and Gloomy and another dropship, and then General Cleese is like, all right, good luck, General Clonehead. And he's like, look, I got this. And
Please, it's Admiral Cleese.
oh, right, sorry. Admiral Cleese. He understood the assignment, Clonehead did, with the believing in himself quote. I don't know if that's who this is about. I think it is, but I have issues with this man throughout the episode. Continued with more pew-pewing. We got the cocky clone trooper being like, good thing they can't aim. Immediately explodes.
Yep.
Over to Ahsoka's... Yeah, I'm calling it Ahsoka's team, by the way. They are the first ones to get hit, and they crash. Clonehead is saying that the defense is super heavy, and now Ahsoka and Gloomy are under heavy fire from all of the bugs. And the Clonehead ship goes down as well. And Obi-Wan's like, all right, we can actually kind of land a little bit, except it's Cody? I get a little bit confused with this part, because it's like one of them goes down, but the other one doesn't, but then Obi-Wan goes down later. I don't know if they land and then go back up in the air again. Is that what happens?
There is a lot to keep track of in this battle.
Yeah.
All my brain really retained was that Obi-Wan crashed and needed rescuing.
Yeah, so he crashes and all that jazz.
Oh, interesting little Easter egg is the nose paint on one of the dropships on the Lardies. It was a painting of a Nexu cat, which was one of the aliens that Obi-Wan fought in Attack of the Clones, like the big furry kitty with like the
cool.
spider eyes. Yeah, just a little Easter egg on the nose I thought was cool.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of graffiti on like one of the sides or something every once in a while, but yeah, they're basically like, everything's under fire. We have nowhere to land. We can't go do anything. But then it cuts away after they crash. And after the commercial break, which I hope included the enforcing the necessity of seatbelts, we cut back to so many dead clone troopers who had nothing but a bus handle to kind of hold on to. Seatbelts. Do you think seatbelts would have helped with just the inertia?
Not a chair on those things, I'm telling you.
Nothing. Like drop ships. Like literally they will just drop you out of the floor.
Drop dead ships.
Pretty much. We get an update that Ahsoka's team is under heavy fire and no tanks, no reinforcements. Kenobi is through, but he's not doing well because he's crashed and he's under fire. And then Clonehead is like, all right, let's go meet up with these people. And then immediately gets lost. But he's like, no, this is right. Over at Ahsoka's team, turns out they're not getting the reinforcements. And of course, Gloomy's like, well, when I finally ask for some help, this is the time he doesn't come through. And I'm like, shut up. Gloomy. Ahsoka shows concern for her Grandmaster. Because, it's like Granddad, except Master. So Grandmaster, unlike Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster. Don't get those confused. And Gloomy's like, nah, I don't care, and starts working on a plan to take out the guns. The ones that they weren't going anywhere near. They all rush in, and Gloomy gets soft for a microsecond, being like, I know you're worried about him, I am too, but we have to suck it up and deal with this. Which I'm like, okay, that's legit. I'm glad that they included that moment in there for him, which means he's learning, because season 1, I don't think he would have done that.
This is one of the episodes where I don't actively hate Anakin. Like, it was,
Mm.
he's in the thick of the battle, which is where he's at his best, I guess. But yeah, I didn't mind him in this one.
No, there were a few moments where I was like, shut up. But other than
Well,
that, not too bad. Just the moments where he gets any considerable talking scenes.
the longer he talks, the higher the chance he's going to condescend to Ahsoka some way.
It's true. It's true. Obi-Wan and another clone trooper, Trapper, are alive. The rest are not. So, this death toll of the clone troopers.
He's just in a van with a bunch of dead clones. Like, that's crazy.
And then we have all the ones that we panned across, showing the importance of seatbelts when Ahsoka and them crashed. General Cleese tells the ground troops that he's like, y'all are on your own, in his best customer service voice. And then they're trying to locate Gloomy. Ugh. Gloomy. Ugh.
Oh, that's a different context altogether.
Don't like that. And they seem to be entering the fortress that they said they definitely were going towards. And then he's like, this is all your fault and stuff. And she's just like, excuse me? Like, who looked at the maps? Who pointed out, hey, this is the big area we shouldn't go towards? And what are you doing? We're going towards it. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Anyways, just learn how to climb it. And she's like,
Did tell you, asshole.
she's like, Anyways, so she's channeling Ripley from Alien. If everybody just listened to her, then they would have lived.
Yep.
So I'm glad that Ahsoka didn't let him go for that one and actually called him out, because even if it was in the middle of the battle, like, might not have been the best time, but it was definitely a necessary thing to call out, because Clonehead's like, he's getting questioned whether he's going the right way, and he's like, I don't know, my instincts say it is. And I'm like, this is the guy who will not ask for directions when they are lost on a road trip. He will not. He's like, oh, we're fine. Meanwhile, it turns out he's in the wrong effing direction. Up on a hill somewhere. And also, do maps or like GPS or anything not exist with all of their hologram technology in this universe?
Well, maybe not on Geonosis. That's definitely an enemy planet, but that's one of the things I liked about this wartime feel of this episode, was that communication was kind of shitty, so it lent a little realism to it. But no, you'd think there would be with their technology, but not so much.
No. So his wonderful instincts lead them into a cavern where they're overrun by human-sized bugs, and it's just terrifying because they're getting picked up and picked off, and just all you hear is screaming.
Those are native Geonosians. Those are the inhabitants of the planet.
That is, if locusts evolved, that is horrific to think about. Over at the Wall of Guns, Ahsoka and Gloomy are crawling up the wall while the rest of the Expendables draw their fire.
Expendables. So true.
Right? They Batman their way up the wall, and then they have a cavern battle that isn't going well, and then they're back on the wall, and they're having the Lord of Rings style conversation where they're discussing their head count while they're actively, like, trying to shoot at people or fight back against. Rex draws their fire from the ground. Like, Rex is doing a lot of work in this episode. He somehow manages to scale the wall while still covering fire for all of the droids that Ahsoka and Gloomy are fighting off on top of the wall. And they're like, all right, guys, we need to figure out a way to get these bombs in the wall. And then Ahsoka's like, ooh, got this one, when this big cavern opens up and an Amodillo shows up. And apparently these Amodillos, something I've learned is that they have absolutely no sensors as to when something penetrates their shield, because Rex just ghosts in from behind, walks into between one of their shields, and just blows the thing's head off. And then Anakin makes quick work of the other one. And I was just like, those seem so much more daunting.
Rex has got some guts, man. Rex is the man.
He's just like, anyways. While we're watching all of the bugs flying around, I just can't help think, man, the bugs are bad this year. The third hatch opens, and they're like, all right, we're gonna throw in the bombs. And instead of an armadillo, it's Harry.
Yeah.
So they throw in the bombs and he's like, now, as he goes down to probably a waiting Marv. And then
Yeah, 100%.
then Rex gets force lifted and thrown off of the wall. Unnecessary. So unnecessary.
Yeah.
And then the two of them jump off the wall. Meanwhile, Rex is screaming all the way down because he has no control of what's happening. He only has the hope of one of the two of them catching him before he hits the ground.
Yeah, and they waited until he was about 2 inches from the ground to do it.
I know. And Rex is rightfully so not happy about being forced off the cliff. I'm sorry, this is one of your strongest people, and this is how you treat him? Over at the cavern, we've got troopers finally using brains and flames on the bugs. Like, just got some flamethrowers in there.
I didn't think the action could get any better than Coyote goes, get out the flamethrowers. And I'm like, yeah.
They've got the flames, and that draws Ahsoka's attention, like a moth to a flame. And I thought that they called him Bundy at this point because I actually couldn't figure out what this guy's name was. So I was like, is it Bundy? Like Ted Bundy?
It's Coyote Bundy.
Mundy?
Coyote Mundy with an M, yeah. But I
Okay.
like Coyote Bundy.
Right, Mormon Mundy. Got
He
it.
goes home to his 4 wives like Peg Bundy, and he gets on his couch with his clone head and puts his hand in his pants.
Clonehead's like, LOL, we took a detour that put us at a communications range. LOL, how funny is that? And they're like, I'm just over here going, you idiot! Like, okay, whatever. General Cleese is like, all right, I have a squadron that can help you because Obi-Wan's actually starting to look a little bit defeated when they finally arrive.
Yeah, he's pretty beat up.
Yeah, like he's just like, okay, this is it. But it kind of gets this weird look on his face, like he's like, this might be it.
Like, I've lost a lot of blood here. I might not be good.
Yeah, right? He's like,
Yeah, I'm fine.
not that that's not a problem. I'm just bleeding internally.
That's just my spleen. Give me that.
Right? Gloomy and Ahsoka show up and they're like checking in with them and just being like, okay, how's it going? And stuff like that. It was actually kind of nice when they were checking in with him for that second. They have a secondary plan. Once they get to the site, they reiterate, which I hope they already went over this part of the plan, and this isn't the first time they're hearing about all of this, because that would seem really strange, where they have to go in and jam the scanners and then allow the tanks to come in and take out the shield generator. And the rest of that, because we only have about 5 minutes left, happens pretty much according to plan. And the generator's down, and the Geonosians pretty much give up, and then Gloomy and Ahsoka continued their competition comparison, but Gloomy's like, I don't want to talk about it, because is it because, like, didn't want to do the comparison thing, or is it because he actually thought he lost?
You know what? For a second, I was like, maybe he's finally, realizing the cost and lives of the clones, because there was a costly mission for the clones. Maybe, it's getting them down a little. They took a pretty good beating throughout this episode. But no, I think he's just upset because he lost the fucking count. I don't know.
Yeah. He took third place, I guess, because Clonehead over here comes in for the win, and he's just like, I got 65, so what's that get me? And Gloomy's like, oh, my everlasting respect. And I'm like, yeah, you're never going to get that ticket cashed.
You must think that if what we were talking about before, if the Jedi Council's aware that Anakin's got a secret wife and, Coyote's got like 5 wives, he must be, you got one secret wife, I got like 12, amateur.
I have 12 wives, and the council only knows about 4 of them. Gloomy says that Obi-Wan and Conehead can go back up to seek a treatment, and Gloomy is gonna go on and destroy the main factory, so I guess I don't need to make a prediction about the next episode.
Yeah, this is a very common occurrence in Clone Wars where they'll do a 2 or 3 episode arc for a story, but usually they chop them up pretty good. We did a few of them already, which I kind of like them.
Yeah, we did the infamous hot dog beam.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking of that, yeah.
Oh, the hot dog beam. Oh. So, what did you think of this episode? Because you said you had some points about how it flowed and stuff.
Yeah, I actually like this episode. The invasion, we finally get to see some good, like, actual Clone Wars action instead of just sort of always hearing about it just, when the main characters show up. There's actual crashing ships and literally going over the trenches and bad communications and looking at shit through binoculars and all that sort of military feel. Like they even had big anti-tank barriers for the walkers, which was very kind of D-Day, the big spikes on the beach kind of thing. And I like that. So yeah, I like this episode. It's what I'd want a Clone Wars show to focus on, just a straight up exciting military op where the stakes felt high, and they did feel high because like Obi-Wan crashed and he looked pretty, out of it, and it was really costly for the clones. I have a note here that said if they had done all of this action, like everything that happened in this episode in live action, I would have needed a moist towelette and a lie down.
And a cigarette.
Maybe. Yeah, it was a very actiony episode, and I like that. There's a lot of long shots of them just running through the flak, and it was good. It was a good Clone Wars episode.
Yeah, there was that one scene where you had like Obi-Wan leading the charge with his 12 clone troopers, but by the time you got to the end, there was maybe like 6 left, and that was just
they were
of the
dropping
ones.
like flies. That's crazy.
It was, lifting like flies, because the flies were carrying them away. It was... Dun, 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 dun.
Did you like the episode?
I did. I did like the light on the drama, which, I mean, it's good every once in a while. It moves plot forward, character development, yada, yada, yada. But sometimes it's just nice to see them doing what the show is talking about. Clone Wars.
This episode reminded me of the Ahsoka live action, where they did flashbacks, live action flashbacks to the Clone Wars, which got to finally see Anakin like that, Hayden Christensen. But like I know those flashbacks, a lot of them were specific fights and stuff, but like that's what this episode felt like, was one of those flashbacks. It was all just smoke and lasers and running and explosions.
It was a really good like battle sequence, and like I said, they storyboarded it really well in a way that made sense, because that could have easily been absolute chaos where you had no idea what was going on, and it was a little confusing in like 1 or 2 sections, but if that's about it, that's not bad.
I guess we liked it.
Yes.
All right, you ready to move on to
Buffy, the Vampire Lair?
Buffy, the Vampire Lair. Ooh, I accidentally wrote Buddy instead of Buffy. Buddy, the Vampire Slayer. All right, Buffy, Season 2, Episode 5, Reptile Boy. Okay, so this is another title that's right up there with, like, Inca Mummy Girl and School Hard. Yeah,
the titles here are showing us the quality of some of these episodes.
My prediction for this episode is Xander will either become a reptile or try to bang a reptile, or a reptile will try to lay eggs in him.
I mean, historically, if we're going off of what's happened in the past, you're not wrong.
Obviously, none of that happened, but we're going to get to the stuff that happens to Xander. We start off with the 90s kids sitting around watching TV, which is what we did in the 90s. If you're lucky, you had a Super Nintendo or something. But they're just all hanging out. Things are sounding pretty calm in Sunnydale lately. Buffy's getting a little chill time with friends. You're shaking your head.
Jinxing the crap out of herself.
Oh, yeah. So we switched to this location, which is like a big California mansion, and I have it in my notes that I just write porn mansion until I can figure out what it actually is.
I mean...
So some woman comes crashing a second-story window, and there's a bunch of culty monks chase her across the manicured lawn and into the woods. And she jacks the wall into the cemetery. So Sunnydale's got to have the biggest fucking cemetery ever. It just must butt up against everything. The culty monks catch her. I guess her name's Callie. Say the party's just getting started, and so now they're the rapey culty monks.
Yeah, that's still accurate.
At school, Cordelia is practicing her fake laughing, which is just fucking killing me. Oh my god. Buffy is having dreams about Angel. Will's asking about that, and they sound like naughty dreams. Felt a little dirty listening in. Moving on. Xander sidles in wearing an offensively neon green 90s shirt. Xander and Cordelia do some pretty good verbal sparring. Here's a couple good back and forth insults. I think she won that round, though.
Oh, 100%. And when they're talking about, like, how Delta Zeta Kappas are considered extraterrestrial, I legit still LOL, because my background is I'm actually from a sorority, so I can provide that little bit of, I mean, a Canadian sorority, albeit, but I can provide a little bit of insight into the accuracy of some of the things that are about to go down in this episode. So it's just an interesting take from that side, because I've seen it from the side of before I entered Greek life, and now watching it after Greek life, I'm like, okay, before a lot of this confused me, but now I get it.
At the library, Giles is all antsy because he thinks things are so quiet. I don't think Giles handles quiet time well. You'd think he would, have a scone and a tea, but if there's no demons running around, I think he's getting a little antsy. He does try a physical test on Buffy, and she armbars the fuck out of him. So, her skills don't seem to be degrading, although he's really saying you got to train and hone and keep training. My quote here by Buffy: "Who needs a social life when you've got your very own Hellmouth?" Giles: "Yes."
Exactly. He so misses the point of this. He's just like sarcasm just whoop right over his head.
So Giles cracks the whip on training. Meanwhile, outside, apparently, Xander skipped 3 classes that day. He's not going to graduate. He keeps this up. Buffy's supposed to be in the library, but she's goofing off out front instead. Cordelia's new college-age boyfriend dries up, oozing rapey charm. He spots Buffy immediately. His name's Richard, Rapey Richard.
Rapey Richard was also on Charmed as Dan, the next-door neighbor.
Was he rapey in that?
No, he was actually a really solid guy, so it's very interesting to see him in this role, because he really was the next-door neighbor, handyman, super just upfront, helpful guy. It was a really weird comparison.
The other guy with him, Tom, the other handsome college fellow, he looks familiar, but I couldn't quite place him.
Same. I never actually looked that one up because I recognized Rapey Richard right away, but I didn't get Peeping Tom over there. So
not a Peeping Yoda.
Right? And Peeping Yoda. Now we've got Peeping Tom, the guy who made Peeping Yoda. So he's a little bit closer to some of the frat guys that I know. If there were any guys like Rapey Richard, I didn't know them because I didn't go around them. But there were some fraternities that these guys wouldn't. If these guys were in the same fraternity, I'd actually be surprised, because what I noticed is that each fraternity that was in the city kind of had a general energy around it about the type of people it attracted, and these guys to be in the same fraternity would be a little weird to me, although it turns out that Peeping Tom isn't on the level anyway. But if he was, I don't think these guys would be hanging out in the same circles.
So Richard introduces himself to Buffy. "I'm Richard," and Buffy, "I'm so not interested." But Tom swoops in. I think they're doing good cop, bad cop. And Tom seems much more affable and charming, and Buffy seems to like him a little better.
Cordy's laugh partway through this scene, where you just hear it in the middle of their conversation.
It's so bad. I hate it. So Xander's standing up on the stairs with Will. He sees the college guys talking to them. Of course he's jealous, and I'm like, fuck him. Fuck off, Xander. Giles does the watch tapping thing.
Yep.
So he does get a little training session. He comes out of the cage. I don't even know what he's got stuck in his arms there, but he says, "I'm going to attack you." And then he just gets fucking slid down the fucking library table like a bar top. So Buffy does go on patrol in the graveyard, which apparently you have to patrol it because it's, like I said, it's probably fucking gigantic. She finds a broken bracelet, which we'll come back to, and Angel just appears in his blazer. Looked purple.
He's like, there's blood on it. Like, just behind the graveyard thing. He's like...
He's floating down the street like a cartoon smelling a pie. He's like, What's that? Oh shit, it's Buffy.
The melodrama in this scene is just,
Oh, 90s teenage angsty.
and they actually continue this sort of melodrama thing, but they kind of start poking fun at themselves. Like it becomes a thing. It's very good.
So they have a little awkward banter. He's 241, she's 16. It'll never work. Buffy says, "When you kiss me, I want to die." Is that a quote? Like, I feel like I've heard that before.
No, it's just a pretty famous quote from the melodrama that is Bangel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was sure I'd heard that before. One of those osmosis things that leaked into my brain. At school, Cordelia's college buddies say if Buffy doesn't go, she can't go. So that means Cordelia is now Buffy's best friend for the day. She does agree to go, mostly to get back at Angel and get him out of her system. She's clearly in love with him, but she's like, I'm going to go to this party and get him off my mind. So it turns out the creepy cult is, of course, a weird fucking frat. And they initiate some guy, and then the beer starts flowing.
This is the things that us Greeks don't talk about. The initiation is a very private affair. We don't talk about the things we carve.
So they still got Callie. She's in the dungeon, and now I'm just like, oh, Buffy breaks in here and kicks all these guys in the face. So Buffy updates Xander and Willow with the latest Angel gossip, which is mostly her being annoyed with them. At the library, Giles, he's not handling this downtime very well. He's doing a little Count of Monte Cristo. He's doing a little sword play by himself, and he gets caught.
This is what it's like when you walk in when I'm in the middle of like doing something and you're just standing there and I'm like, hi.
So Buffy shows them the broken bracelet she found in the graveyard. That shows it to Giles, and then she makes some excuses to get out of patrol so she can go to the college party. So this is a big moment. Like Willow and all them commented on that she lies to Giles for the first time. Breaking the Watcher Slayer covenant. Willow has heard there's a lot of orgies at frat parties, so of course Xander perks up.
Why? Where's my invitation? Ew, lost in the mail. Absolutely not.
Cordelia gives Buffy her do's and don'ts briefing for the night.
No black, no silk, no chiffon. Just keep that in mind.
Buffy just slams her head down on the desk by the end of it. Xander's going to go to the party to protect Buffy and definitely not to try to find an orgy.
Does this sound familiar? Remember when I said, remember this energy that Anakin had during the last episode when she was going in to infiltrate the what's his face, the Luke Perry lookalike, in the last episode? Yeah, Clovis, right. She was, so Anakin was like sneaking in to infiltrate to like protect her and stuff. That was the same energy that this is giving right now.
At the frat house, Buffy and Cordelia arrive, and just this fucking plenty of rapey white guys everywhere, and they already look like they're a keg or two in. Richard gives them a drink, which I would definitely not fucking drink anything this guy handed me.
Never.
Xander sneaks into a window, and from the sounds of it, falls on like a fucking guitar or something. Then he immediately snags a drink. So, plus one for style for grabbing the drink, minus $1 million for falling on a guitar or whatever. But he's all polo shirted up, so my note here says maybe he'll roofie himself and wake up on the lawn. Buffy's all alone because Cordelia abandons her to go hang out with Rapey Richard, and a drunken frat boy literally runs straight at her, but handsome Tom fucking pulls her off to the side and saves her.
There's definitely been like that hey sweetheart guy. I've definitely seen him at frat parties before.
So Buffy talks about her obligations, which are pulling at her despite best efforts to relax and party a little. She's still feeling that, no, she should be out doing what she's supposed to be doing. She keeps dancing with Tom while Xander eats the food, but I'm like, just before he got noticed by the frat boys, I'm like, he's going to get noticed by the frat boys soon. He's acting too much a fool. They drag him off as a new pledge, so they'll probably fire a football up his ass or something. Buffy notices bits of broken glass on the ground, and you can tell her Spidey Slayer senses are going off. Something's amiss. Richard hands Buffy another drink, and she drinks this one. Uh-oh. Richard and Tom smile rapily.
Rapily. Ugh. I actually had Buffy spider senses are tingling as well. here.
Yep.
As
Yep.
it's true. She was, and the fact that Xander lasted this long in the frat party before getting noticed is surprising, because it, unless this is like a recruitment party, the only boys there are the ones who live in the house.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, they would have clocked him. Would they have done that in real life if somebody had crashed the party? No. But this is Hollywood, so let's have fun with that. But I don't have any issue with what happens to Xander here.
Oh, we'll get to that. At the library, Willow's doing some research, and she talks about the missing girl. And says, "This being Sunnydale, I guess we can rule out something good." Giles wants to call Buffy, but Willow heads that off because she knows where she is. She finds more instances of missing girls, a pattern with the date, so there's something going on at a rapey, culty frat house. Willow gets him to call Angel instead.
She's working overtime for her best friend right now.
Yeah. At the frat house, Xander, he gets dressed up in a wig and the world's biggest brassiere, and they make him dance around. And
This I'm not okay with, but being dragged off for crashing a party, yes. Getting humiliated like this, I don't know if I'm okay with this.
then they just chuck him out and laugh at him. They just laugh at him and just boot him
They
out.
laughed at me.
In the basement, the girls are trapped with Callie, so Buffy and Cordelia are stuck down there too. And weirdo Tom is covered in like fucking weird diamond scars, which looking back on it now is like a snaky thing. It's like a diamond back snaky thing. I just thought it was some kind of culty designs or something. So he's different from the others. He's the most dangerous. Of course he is. He was the most polite. At the library, Willow asks Angel how he shaves with no reflection. Willow finally tells Giles where Buffy is. Giles, she lied to me? Angel, did she have a date? Again, asking the pertinent questions. Willow puts the boys in their places and she calls them out on her shit. And this is one of the reasons I think Willow's one of the best parts of this episode, because she gets a little animated in several different instances, and she shows how tough she is, and she likes being nice, but like she called the boys out on their shit pretty hard, and she gets a little edge in her voice there. It was good.
Yep.
Back at the frat house, Xander's still wandering out the lawn because, oh right, his friends are in there, and he finds Cordelia's car. Meanwhile, in the basement, the rapey monks start their ceremony to their mysterious master with new offerings. And they said his name, it's like Makita or something. I'm like, why is they worshiping a power drill? Like, what the...
Why does this snake who's supposed to eat entire humans have the smallest effing mouth imaginable?
I'm not sure what I was expecting to emerge. It wasn't this. A very large snake man who looks like he came right out of fucking Mortal Kombat or something. And I'm like, what is this, like a Slytherin offshoot cult? Or
like, he couldn't get his mouth around a Baconator. How's he supposed to eat an entire person?
Well, I imagine there's some sort of jaw descending or something like that. So outside, Willow and Angel and Giles link up with Xander, who's wearing a cult robe he conveniently found in the garbage. He's going through the cans like a raccoon. He's still got some makeup on, too. Cordelia is about to get eaten by the snake guy, and Buffy distracts him by yelling, "Hey, Reptile Boy, we have a title!" She tries to bait it away from Cordelia, and she fucking gets a smack for her trouble. So now, I'm just hating these guys even more. Xander and Angel punch a guy out each as they get inside, one with a little more style than the other. Finally, Buffy breaks loose, and she starts kicking ass, and then all hell breaks loose upstairs. So Buffy lays out Tom and chops off Reptile Boy's tail, and I think it gets away, or does it die? It
dies. Apparently just getting chopped off from the tail is just enough to just kill it. I don't know. I had the same note.
What the fuck was it connected to then?
The other chapters? I don't know. Like, I have questions about this fraternity. Is this the only chapter of this fraternity? Is this the founding chapter? And just what happens here affects all the other ones? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was sort of ambiguous about that, because it just showed like a chunk of tail on the floor, so I was like, it wasn't clear if it got away or died. So okay, so it's dead.
It's dead.
I had one drink, yes, and you nearly got eaten by a giant snake. So back, of course, we can't have an episode without going to the Bronze at least once. So we're back there. So we're back at the Bronze, and apparently Cordelia has an intern that brings her coffee.
This is Jonathan. You get to he becomes a recurring character throughout the
Oh, poor
yeah.
bastard. I feel bad for him already.
Yeah, the actor who plays him, his name's Danny Strong, and he goes on to do a lot of things. Like he was in Mad Men. I don't know if you remember him from that. Mockingjay, 1 and 2. I don't remember him there, but he also went on to do Dopesick and Empire. So he's had his hands in a lot of things with writing and the other side of things.
Dopesick is really good. Michael Keaton and Rosario Dawson are really, really good.
He created, wrote, and directed.
So it's revealed that the rapey monks go down. They go to jail. Their evil's been revealed for all to see. Willow tells Buffy how Angel rushed to help her when he thought she was in danger. Then Angel shows up and awkwardly asks Buffy for a coffee sometime. And she plays hard to get. It's just like, come on.
I know. But did you have an issue with how fast the timeline went for the like they were like, oh, these guys were arrested from the frat house, and then they had already sentenced on the inside when he was reading it. He's like, yep, they've already been sentenced with consecutive life sentences. And I was like, in what courtroom? It was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really ask those continuity questions anymore because Star Wars has ruined me like that. But it's just,
I guess.
I don't know. But it wouldn't hurt to have a little thing that said, like 2 weeks later. Even that would have been fast for a fucking murder trial. But like, they can't afford to do a 6 months later. They got to wrap it up, right?
Right? Like they're charged with.
Yeah, I agree, though. The timing is definitely off.
Yeah.
I liked this episode. It was okay. It was a little. I mean, I liked it because the villain to me wasn't the snake guy. He was a monster of the week and everything, but the villains were these fucking asshole frat boys. So I was very invested in seeing them go down. So really go into that creature's origins at all beyond Hellmouth, quote unquote. They didn't say how long. I mean, clearly it's been with this frat whatever for a while because they established a pattern, at least a couple of years. So they don't
50 years. Going back 50 years, yeah.
Goes back a long way, and they don't really explore that at all. It just, I just like those details, but yeah. So, like I said, I think Willow was one of the funnest parts of this episode. Other than that, it was just, I just had to watch to make sure these fucking frat boy dickheads went down.
Absolutely. I like these episodes. They're very much a 90s product, from like the casual attempts at sexual assault when they've got the girls roofied and passed out on the bed to like making Xander cross-dress and paddle him for their amusement. Yeah, that's not something that would ever fly in 2024.
All right, that's 2 more in the bag. Next week, we will return with more Buffy and Clone Wars. So we're only in episode 5. I think there's like 22 episodes for each of these for the season, so we can do them 1-to-1. So yeah, we got a ways to go.
Oh, we've got a journey.
I'll say one thing about the Reptile boy. He was seen better production qualities than the Mantis woman.
I'll give him that. Like, I was watching it this time around, and I was looking at it because I know that the costume is a little bit ridiculous, and you're looking at it going, how is this thing going to eat anybody, let alone chicken nuggets? But I mean, the quality of the suit itself was good, and the costuming makeup was awesome, but just, it was, the whole character on its own was just a little bit weak. Like, way to really hammer home the stereotype of don't get drunk or else a mean snake will come at you at a frat party.
Oh, words to live by. You know what's funny is they worship this thing as their dark lord, like it's fucking Voldemort, and it was telling them what to do. Maybe it communicated with them, but like it didn't say a word. It didn't say anything about no evil monologuing.
Voldemort had no nose. It was a snake.
But like it just came out to what comes out to eat every year. Like what does it tell them to do in the meantime? Like
it gives them riches. Like it basically influences their ability to make money and succeed. It's their ticket to success instead of like networking and internships and all those things and nepotism and just knowing people. This just, once the snake died, that's why everybody lost their fortunes. That's why stocks plummeted. That's why he was mystically amping up their entire careers, like all of the frat brothers.
So he's just spending the rest of the year down there like day trading?
Pretty much. She's got a little computer down there. He's got to make some phone calls to Wall Street.
He's down there all day doing deals for these shitty kids. Well, goodbye, Reptile Boy. I don't think we'll be seeing you again. We better not.
No.